Hello, IST students, or I have it as MIS, Managers of Information System students. So I just wanted to do a quick little, not tutorial, but a how-to as a heads up type of video regarding the COVID-19 assignment that you guys have coming up in November 22nd. There are a couple of questions, and I know for the past 2 years, there've been a little bit of hesitation with this paper because it is perhaps one of the biggest papers that you're going to write in the class, the most significant one, because it is going to show application of everything that you have learned, or at least most of the things that you have learned with regards to the course. And I just wanted to quickly start with, the prompt. As you know, there was not going to be one of the assignments, so that's why this one was moved up to 100%, 100 points. And what this is going to be similar to the Jamboard that we did earlier on, in which you chose a business process and then used the stickers to sort of identify what were the steps in that business process. So this is going to be pretty much similar to that, but now there's a whole paper about it. And now you have more knowledge about the course that is going to come into play here. This is very straightforward. You're just simply going to choose an overall field or area, discussed during class, to provide an analysis of how you think COVID-19 has affected that particular area, right? And so I give you an example. Also, the due date is, it's a Monday, the 22nd, not Sunday, the 21st. But I will put 5 points or deduct 5 points for every day. I've been noticing that there's a lot of late assignments lately, and we are so close to the end of the semester that I really need you to try to submit this on time. The other thing that I want you to know about this particular, assignment is that as I have for other ones, there is a rubric. And this is what the rubric is going to be. The different parts of the rubric, 5 parts, are going to be, I want you to make sure that you use a relevant business process in an industry sector. Okay. Food industry, entertainment industry, clothing, entrepreneurship, anything that you can think of where you can identify a business process. Okay, that's going to be the first section. The second part, second section, have to do with clear steps of that business process. Okay, now like 1 or 2 steps, I log in, pick what I want, click to pay, and then I get it in the mail. That's really not clear steps. I really need you to try to identify specific clear steps on that second part. And that is going to be for the pre-COVID, right? I'm going to go into the prompt itself so that we know. Then the next part, the part 3, is going to be the implications of the effects of COVID. And by implications is how has COVID really affected, right? Is this not about what you think could be? This is about how has actually changed. How has COVID affected that particular industry or processes, right? Obviously, you are all, most of you are juniors and seniors, and so I've always held you to high writing standards. So I'm going to be taking a look at grammar, making sure that it's a well-executed paper, and then it's going to be organized, right? I'm going to give you specific prompts, and I want you to follow those prompts in that organization. There's no reason for you to do this paper without not having it organized after, this video. And then lastly is, I am going to be looking for 5 or more concepts present. Concepts like porters or supply chain management or ethics and privacy. Those are some of the concepts. I mean, we've talked about a lot of, CRM, BPIs, all of those different things are concepts that I want you to have in mind. So that's the rubric. That's so you know how it's going to be graded. And now let's take a look at the actual prompt. Okay, So for the prompt is, I want you to do a short introduction, right? Just like I did here. I want you to start making connections. So as I will show you in the sample paper from a student, the introduction is you just simply going to tell me a little bit about what you're going to write about, why that is important, etc. The paper itself, should be written in APA format. If you don't know APA, let's say that you know MLA, I'll take it. It's okay, but I really want you to do APA format, and it's going to be between 7,500 to 1,000 words. That's about 3 to 4 pages, double space, right? So it really is not a lot of work. It's going to be double space, and you're going to have some bullet portions of it and stuff. But that's really the minimum that I'm going to be looking at, and also the different book chapters and stuff. So we've looked thus far at about 11 or 12 of those. So you should really have plenty of things to look at. The paper structure, right? Even though I'm giving you this sort of prompts here and the steps like first, second, finally, etc., doesn't mean that each of these is one paragraph. This is just a section. Okay, so everything that I'm showing you right here, it's just simply um, a section, right? So the first section, and then there's the second section. And these are just guiding questions. I don't want you to do this like an interview, like you just put the question and then answer, question, answer. That's not what this is about. This is just for you to start thinking about how these guiding questions are going to help you organize the paper. And so the sections are, the first one is going to be the business process pre-COVID. The next one is going to be current COVID, right? And this could be something that, if you don't think that we're currently in COVID, which we kind of are not, we're like in a modified COVID, it's okay. Think about how that pre-COVID process was and how it was during COVID. The last part, it's going to be about, the last part is going to be then the post-COVID. And here is where I am going to spend really some time reading your papers in more detail. Why? Because for the pre-COVID, right, I can just simply see that you have the steps, right? And what you used to do, how you used to do it, making sure that there are clear steps and that that makes sense. The current COVID, I'm going to take a look at it and be like, okay, yeah, that's definitely how it changed. I'm going to look at some of those questions and realize, okay, that's what you're answering. But the post-COVID, right, it's the most important thing, because one of the things that we're trying to understand is COVID changed our way of life. And COVID changed the things that we did, how we used to do it. But at the same time, COVID taught us how to do certain things differently. And so it could be that certain processes didn't have or didn't require the use of an app. For example, in the industry or the particular restaurant or something was forced to introduce a new app so that people could order food, because they couldn't come into the restaurant, right? But now that we're in post-COVID, they may realize that the app works so well that they may just continue to have the app for takeout, right? Instead of just simply saying, we're going to go back to the old, to the pre-COVID processes, and we're going to delete the app and then just force, people to come back in the restaurant, etc. Right? They may not. They may realize it worked. And so that part, that final part is, I want you to wrap up your paper by discussing those implications, that you chose, like anything that you've noticed that companies or the particular company or industry that you're doing, anything that you noticed has remained after COVID. And then, of course, I have the requirements. They're very clear. As you can see, you have your 700 to 1,000 words, your APA, 5 references, right, to different chapters in the book or topics in the book, 2 outside sources, and making sure that you follow this prompt closely, right? If you follow this prompt closely, there shouldn't be any problems. Speaking of resources, I'm already giving you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you have 6 resources for you to read through, right, to see how COVID has changed, some of the items in the industry, with whichever industry, you choose. You can just use one of these. So one of those plus the references from the book. I mean, two of these plus the reference from the book, and that's pretty much all you need. Now let me show you an example from one of the best papers that I had from last quarter or last semester. Okay, so here is the student's paper. I'm hiding his name, obviously for privacy. Excuse me. Let me move this Zoom controls out of the way here. Sorry about that. Okay, so you see the particular student. He wrote about Hollister, in the clothing industry. It's APA. It's got the title page. We go with a heading, and it's very good. He starts with first, like very clear, straightforward. The business process that has been directly affected by COVID is in the clothing industry. Perfect. I already know, right? And I even said that this was a good start. Sounds like this is the only one that has been really affected. Anyways, I provided some feedback, but I like the fact that it says first, this is what I want to talk about. Okay. And he says, I'm going to talk about Hollister because it's a former customer, etc. He continues, and then you get to see that he used one of the resources that I provided, and he cited it, right? Forbes magazine mentions that this, and that, and then Trefis 2019. Perfect. That's the good introduction. Now we're in the pre-COVID business process. And then this is something that I really appreciated. As you can see, I said, excellent. He says, based on chapter 2 of the book, Introduction to Infosystems and stuff like that by Kelly, a business process is an ongoing collection of related activities. Perfect. Like he's telling me, look, and by the way, I know that we didn't use the book, but everything that I gave you, you can reference the PowerPoints because the PowerPoints come from the book. The PowerPoints and the lectures that I did are simply a summary of those chapters so that you didn't have to buy the book. So you do have, access to that information. And then he says, therefore, pre-COVID steps were these. Very straightforward. There are the steps. He could have used a little bit more, but it's pretty straightforward. Walks into the store, picks what they want, tries on the clothes, picks up what fits and doesn't, goes to the cashier, pays for the clothes, right? Very straightforward. The ultimate goal, for the customer in this business process is to make customer purchases to increase their revenue. Exactly. Then he goes into saying, according to the book, stuff like that. He didn't really have to say the intro again. It's okay. I don't mind it. But he says a transaction data, which are generated, are captured. And again, so as you can see, it's not complicated. It's well written. It's clear, right? Then we go into the current COVID situations in stores. So this is now during COVID. And then he found a newspaper, right? It says the Long Beach Joint Information Center, said that Mayor Robert Garcia mentioned the Governor Newsom is making additional statewide, right? So that's what he's referencing. He gave me the reference. And then all of that was really to continue to reference and make the case about what now Hollister was going to do as a new business process, right? So, and this is during COVID, right? So during COVID, now they'll create an account, they browse through the whole selection, add items to their cart, will open a payment option, insert the address, debit card info, email address, hit submit, customer should receive a confirmation email, etc. So this is now during COVID, right? Very clear. This is pre-COVID, very clear that you were going into the store to doing this. Post-COVID or during COVID, everything changed. And now the last part, right? He does go into saying the most significant change in the process is how to do this. And then he goes and does something very nice about writing, which is comparison. Unlike shopping or regular Hollister store, the customers must now rely on pictures and descriptions. And then he says, compared to, right? So what he's doing is like, now this is what they do. This is how they used to do it. He goes into giving more examples. And here is everything that he's been saying. Like this didn't really do the assignment. You know that, as you know by now, that you earn brownie points with me whenever you really do the assignment of reflection, right? About what I'm asking you, because I'm not asking you to do any of these things as busy work. I want you to tell me how this directly affects you. So for me to see everything well written and then for him to finish his conclusion as personally, I do believe that, right? This is now telling me this student took this to heart. You know, this directly affected him, be it positively or negatively, right? But the student really took it upon himself to write in here how this affects him at a personal level. So he understood everything that we did in the class that we talked about. He was able to write the paper, and then he was able to provide me his own personal beliefs, which is perfect. And he continues to say, you know, I am not sure, you know, how they're going to do this. I believe the stores will do this. You know, obviously this is right before the vaccines. Once the vaccine is open to everyone, I believe, right? What I do see is that, and this is the conclusion, this is the implication part about that last question of the prompt, the last section of the prompt, which had to do with what do you believe are going to be the implications of post-COVID? Like, are they going to keep things, go pre-COVID, move forward, etc.? And so it says, I do see is that they will use other options during these times to remain profitable, like by using their mobile app and website, and informed users should start implementing and stuff like that. So this was really well done. Lots of references. You know, here's the little networking and stuff and internet and just wonderful. And when you look at it, I know it says 6, but first page is title page. So 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4.5 pages, right? 752, about 1,000. Well done. And then he ends with the references. There's the press release about Governor Newsom. There is the Ford or Fortune, 500, and here's the book. So in all, this was a really good paper, and I hope that by walking you through it, you get to see how a really good paper can be written and how to put things together with regards to the assignment. You can pause it, go back and read it, and I hope that it helps. Thank you.